In this video, we're going to take a look at validating the user's input. Once again, I'm going to use this program we looked at in another video about the menu-driven program to figure out the discount price for an item that the user enters. I haven't modified it yet, so what happens here is the menu's display, and they got choices of, let me put this back to a 1 here, of 1 through 5 to enter. Right, so 6 is invalid, 7 is invalid, negative numbers are all invalid. Right. The price, there's no checking there either. They can enter a negative price, which does not make any sense. So we're going to put in two validations, and the validations are going to control the flow of the program. So let's first deal with the price. Right. The price should not be a negative number. Right. You can't have a negative price on an item unless you're getting one big discount that's giving you, taking it way below, right? And they're going to be paying you to take the item off their hands. But that would be nice, but not going to happen. So we got to make sure the price is positive. So we get the input from the user. So one thing we can then check is that if price is greater than 0, right? Can it be 0? Sure, right? We can make that a valid one, so it's greater than or equal to 0. Right? If that is true, that the price is greater than 0, we want to go ahead and do the rest of the program, everything that's in here. Right, so we'll put it all inside the parentheses, and we'll reformat this. Right, by tabbing all that in. Alright, so now you can see that if the price is not greater than 0, it won't do anything. Okay, that's great, but how about we tell the user what the issue is? So we put the else in. Alright, so we're validating that the price is something valid to work with before we do anything with it. So here we can just simply say out price entered was negative, was not a valid input or valid price. Okay, something simple as that. Just to let them know, don't just end the program. Let them know why it's ending. Right. So that's one validation. Right. We didn't want to do any calculations on negative numbers because it just doesn't make any sense. So it's a waste of time and CPU time. Right, to do that. The next thing is the menu here. Alright, so let's just run that first actually and show you that it won't do anything except give us the message when the user enters a price that's a negative. Alright, and we'll show you that it also works when it's a normal price. So we'll start with 100. Alright, we got our menu, we do a 1, we get our discount. Alright, so let's put in a negative price, alright, which is what we're checking. Let's put a negative 100 in. Right. And we get no other options. The menu does not show up. It simply tells us that the price we entered is invalid. Alright, so that's the first check. Alright, next check, like I said, is the menu. So once we get the menu, then we can go ahead and validate it that it's a valid menu choice. Now we have the else down here. It kind of does that for us, but it's going to hit the else and do a calculation. Alright, maybe that's not the result we want. Alright, so we don't want this. It's either got one of those 5. That's the only thing they're going to allow it to do, and that's the only thing we're going to do any calculations on. That's the requirements of the program. Alright, so then we want to check if menu choice is greater than or equal to 1, and menu choice is less than or equal to 5. And that covers our complete range. Right? 1 through 5. And then we don't want to do anything. If it's not one of those, we don't want to go through the menu choices there. We don't want to do any calculations also if the menu choice is invalid. So again, we encapsulate everything inside there. And we're going to indent it to show it again, proper formatting. Right? That's the way it should be looking. Right? Start a curly bracket, we indent. Right? We start an if statement like this, we indent type things. Alright. So this will not do any calculations if the price is invalid or if they're not a valid menu choice. But again, the program will just end and the user doesn't know why. So we'll give them an else and tell them why. Alright. Again, another simple cout statement in this case saying you selected an invalid menu choice. Alright, so we know the price does its validating and its checking. So now we're just going to check the menu, see if we can get that to work, right? So 100's the price, give something valid, say 3 here, right? We get our 30% discount, and we get our $70 as our final price, the output we expect. So again, a valid price for 100's, and this time we'll enter a value of 6, which is invalid. Does nothing for us, no calculations, except tell us that we made an invalid menu choice, which is what happened. Very simple. I mean, the program ends, does nothing, not the greatest thing. Once you start introducing loops in here, you can then have it go back and restart the menu and have to make another choice as opposed to just ending the program. Right, but we're going, like I said, step by step. Right? So that is validation. We're validating the pieces that are coming in. Right? You know, there are invalid prices. Right? Anything less than 0 is invalid. Menu choices. Right? There's a select possible choices, 1 through 5 in this case. Right? So this will prevent us from dealing with invalid choices. Right? So it's a great thing to do in all your programs. Right? And as we keep going along, we'll show you better ways of doing it as we go along.